know ID in the town all day. ID in the SEA. You know ID in the town all day. ID in the SEA.
Hello and welcome to episode 475 of the Fabulous Peltoncast, sponsored by our friends at Pagliacci Pizza. I'm your co-host, Kevin Pelton.
And I'm Tristan Carasino.
And we're coming to you from separate locations. I'm in Seattle, Washington, home of the four-time WNBA champion Storm.
And I'm coming to you from Renton, Washington, home of the Super Bowl 48 champion Seattle Seahawks. Last week, you had so much zest on the intro, and then you deleted it.
Oh, well, it didn't. Yes, I didn't record it. It wasn't that I deleted it, but yes, it was the
zestiest intro of all time.
I grated some lemon zest and put it on the intro. I mean, look,
you could never do it that good again. Even it would sound like you were just imitating. It would just be like, this is the greatest intro of all time.
But it would only sound that way to you because you were the only one who heard it.
That's true. But people would know.
They could just
anyway,
tell.
Should we do this emergency pod style for Seafair or?
No, we've got it in the order. It's okay. I mean, if there were a shocking result at Seafair, which there was a shocking result.
Hello. At
Tri-Cities Waterfalls at last week's Gold Cup. But we'll get to that in a second. We have to start where we were earlier Sunday. Congrats to Ichiro, officially inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame with a well-received speech delivered in English. Love to see it from Ichiro. I thought you said you were going to say something nice about it.
It was a great moment for Ichiro and the entire Mariners family, and I look forward to them celebrating back at T-Mobile Park here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, there you go. Ichiro Hall of Fame weekend coming up.
Stay tuned, like an hour and question mark minutes.
Oh, no. Oh, please let that not be too many minutes. All right, congrats to Cal Raleigh, who became the 9th primary catcher in MLB history with at least 40 home runs in a season on Saturday. He's the first Mariner with 40 home runs since Nelson Cruz in 2016. Obviously, has already moved to 41 since we posted this. Well on his way to challenging Salvador Perez's record of 48 home runs for a player whose primary position was catcher.
It's July.
It is.
It's pretty cool. It's one of those moments where it was like the Mariners lost on Sunday badly, and I looked and it was just like Cal solo home run, and I was like, great game. We've definitely gotten to that point where it's like,
that's the perspective you can have when you did not watch any of the game.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do know
look
what
back
you're
on it
saying,
and you're like, oh, the Mariners got their ass kicked, but at least Cal homered.
Exactly. Once upon a time, that was, I don't know, I guess it was Nelson Cruz at that point. Whoever was hitting during the Felix era. Congrats to Skylar Diggins, who recorded the second triple-double in Storm history Monday in Connecticut with 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists.
You should have asked me to guess who had the first one, because I could have been guessing.
We would have been here all night.
It would have been like 1,000 monkeys typing on 1,000 typewriters for an eternity.
Do you even know this player?
It was the blurst of times. No, I do recognize the name.
Tamika Johnson, who's 5'3", had the first in 2014. Yeah. Oh, wow. That was quite a double take.
Was it steals?
No, she did. She got rebounds.
Wow.
She had the first in 2014 in an overtime game.
Maybe there's still a chance for me.
In the WNBA or in the NBA?
Go grab some boards.
This comes on the heels of Diggins recording the first triple-double in WNBA All-Star Game history, and it was also the fewest minutes ever played in a WNBA triple-double, fewer than 23. No one had done it in fewer than 25 previously.
How common are triple-doubles in the WNBA? Pretty rare, right?
Increasingly common. Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas dominate the WNBA's all-time triple-double leaderboard.
Really, already?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Alyssa Thomas obviously has been doing this now for a long period of time, but let me go pull this up on the outstanding site across the timeline that has this information easily categorized. Let's see. Oh, Jackie Young, by the way, had one tonight as well. So the triple doubles are going off. I mean, obviously there have been more lately. Scores are higher, more guard rebounding, more front court playmaking, as we've seen in the NBA as well.
Why are scores higher? Are threes going up?
Yeah, not a ton, but gradually efficiency is getting better. So when
I'm
Tamika
setting my calendar right now for, I'm thinking 3 years before I see a TikTok about how 3-point shooting has ruined the WNBA.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll have really made it then. So when Tamika Johnson did this in 2014, no one had done it in 9 years. Actually, consecutive triple doubles in WNBA history were recorded at Key Arena because Cheryl Swoops had the previous one, the first ever playoff triple double against the Storm in the deciding game 3 of their first round series in 2005. One of the most crushing moments in my time working for the Storm. When they lost that game 3 at home to the Houston Comets. But that was the 6th ever triple double at that point in the 18th season of the WNBA. Since then, there have been 12 seasons, and there have been, across the timeline is counting Skylar Diggins in the All-Star game, there have been 42 of them. And of those, since 2021, because Sabrina Ionescu also has a few, 39 of the 48 all time have come since 2021. So a pretty massive explosion here. And I think Caitlin is already second all time, although it's not giving me the totals that easily right now. So I will have to do another search. You can fill here.
I'll be here. I've already moved on to looking at further parts. I've got jokes coming up. It's good.
No, Caitlin is still tied for third with Candace Parker. Sabrina Ionescu is second with.
I regret
those,
asking the question.
Those are the only people with more than 2. So, anyways, congrats to Skylar Diggins.
There we go. Yeah. Feel free to delete all of that. There was some Google searching in there, some pausing, asking me to fill.
On a sadder note, this week we're remembering Spokane native Ryan Sandberg, who died Monday at age 65 after battling prostate cancer that had spread. Sandberg had the most career hits in All-Star appearances with 10 of any player born in Washington per Alex Meyer of Mariners PR. He's one of 3 Hall of Famers born in Washington. Certainly someone who was an MLB fixture when we started watching the league. Have a vivid memory of him retiring mid-season in 1994 before he came back to actually have 2 really productive seasons in 1996 and 1997. And certainly an exemplary player and well regarded in terms of his post-playing career as well. So a real loss for baseball and for the state of Washington. All right, with that, it is time to talk hydroplane racing.
Okay, I thought you were really building up for.
Congrats to Dave Villwock, who tied Chip Hanauer with his 11th Gold Cup victory Sunday at the Tri-Cities Water Follies. A wild final heat saw High Points leader Andrew Tate in the U91 Goodman Real Estate relegated to the trailer position, even though there were only 6 boats still competing at that point because the 7th had to withdraw due to damage suffered earlier in the day in testing. But Andrew Tate was disqualified in one of the heats due to an N2 violation for overtaxing the engine basically, and getting a 0 for that set of heats meant that he had the fewest points of any remaining boat and therefore had to start 5 seconds after the field in the final, had no realistic chance to win. On the water, we saw the U8 Beacon Electric, driven by J. Michael Kelly, hold off teammate U9 Beacon Plumbing, two-time defending Water Follies champ Corey Peabody for what seemed like the win. But both boats, plus Gunnar O'Farrell in the U21 Spirit of America, obviously all 3 of these people are from Western Washington, jumped the gun. That gave the win to Villwock, also from Western Washington. His first race victory since 2012, when he at that point won his 10th Gold Cup. So, look,
Sonny Hayes, you can suck it as an old man racing. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's the Brad Pitt from the movie F1, who's an old man who comes back to race fast and loose, exploiting rules that were out there. Dave Villwock, 10 years older than Brad Pitt, on the water picking up the victory. It is a film come to life in hydroplane racing this weekend.
When they make this is the follow-up to the movie Madison, about the Miss Madison's victory.
No one will see it.
Still have never seen it, although I gotta say
You're the greatest hydroplane fan of all time and haven't seen it.
Gotta say, not not eagerly seeking out all of Jim Caviezel's work these days.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's get on to the Andrew Tate news.
Not that, Andrew Tate. Not that. No relation. Unrelated.
Oh my god.
The rough weekend for Andrew Tate meant the two
He's had worse.
both owned by Strong Racing now top the high points leaderboard with Peabody ahead of Kelly for first place, but just 5,000. Wait, no, that's the wrong number. I don't know why I get that. I believe it's 524 points separate first and fifth place in the high point standing with 2 races remaining. So lots on the line.
No one knows how many points you get for a hydroplane race, so you could have just gone. You could have been like, that is a small amount.
That's a fair point. It's up to 400 per heat. And then 100 for qualifying. So the Gold Cup requires 4 sets of heats. So last weekend there was a maximum of 1,700 points. This weekend they're only going to run 3 heats at Seafair, so a maximum of 1,300 points available.
Wait, so what do you mean they're only going to run 3 heats at Seafair?
That's been the traditional Seafair.
Like
format.
1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B?
Correct.
Okay, that's 6 total races, though.
6 total races before the final.
6
correct.
Total heats. The heats are the pair together.
Correct.
Got it.
Only because each individual boat typically only appears in one of the 2 sets, unless they fall below 6 boats, and then they would probably go to a kind of a format where they would just choose among those boats and have more than 3 sets of heats.
Try to figure that out, AI.
Oh no, not a chance. Tri-Cities officials said that was a possibility. They thankfully didn't have to go with it because they finished with 6. So just 7 total boats entered Wallier Follies, 4 of them owned by 2 race teams. After Miss Madison, the reigning High Points champion, encountered financial difficulties and sold its 2 boats to Bruce Ratchford of Tri-Cities, including the U91. Ratchford also purchased the U27, driven by Vilwalk from Wiggins Racing. So it's Strong Racing is also based in Tri-Cities. Tri-Cities is the epicenter of unlimited hydroplane ownership at this point, even though Western Washington still produces all the drivers. Madison.
It's like how Italians produce every manager in soccer.
Very similar, yeah. Madison leased a boat to run is Miss Madison in the hometown race, but is not competing elsewhere this season. Part of the reason we have the low boat count. Ratchford and Strong Racing have partnered to take over expanded H1 streaming this year. They had some really good features between the heats that was nice to see. But they also are having to add race sites after Guntersville, Alabama decided not to bring the Unlimiteds back after issues with weather forced the races to be canceled this season and had in the past. That leaves just 4 currently on the schedule for 2026. We'll see if they can add any. The anticipated return of the Detroit Hydro Fest, which sadly was never immortalized in Detroiters, still yet to materialize. So we've just got Madison, Seattle, Tri-Cities, and San Diego is kind of the 4 classic historic sites. So as we look ahead to this weekend, I would still say, despite the rough performance on Sunday, Andrew Tate, probably the favorite. Corey Peabody in the U9, also a strong contender. J. Michael Kelly always does well in his hometown race in Seattle. Also, I think the fact that it's a 2-mile course on Lake Washington for Seafair is compared to a longer 2.5-mile course in the Tri-Cities. Basically, that means the water follies kind of tends to favor the team with higher top end speed, more acceleration in the straightaways, whereas the ability to get inside lanes and your ability to turn is more important at Seafair, and those are things at which J. Michael Kelly tends to excel. So he's done quite well here. But really, and then you certainly can't rule out Dave Willock. He, even though the final win was very unexpected and took the other boats sort of taking themselves out of it by jumping the gun, it was still a strong weekend for Vilwalk, who won multiple heats and continues to be a formidable racer at age 71. So there you go.
Is he behind? So let's say that Dave Vilwalk's falling behind here, right? Is it because of the racing, or is it just because of the boat?
A little from column A, a little from column B. Obviously, his reflexes are not what they were 30 years ago when he was, first coming on the scene. Is 1996 was the first year that he won the national high points title as a driver.
And how fast and dangerous are these boats?
Villock did flip in Madison, or maybe that was in Guntersville. I can't remember, but one of those two races, he did flip.
God, I could see the movie.
Thankfully, they are no longer fatal. These flips, not for a quarter century now, and that's
In the movie, they are though.
Yes, they would play it up. That
When he's getting a lecture from the pit. What's the pit?
you're saying the equivalent of a pit boss?
Not pit boss. That's not the word. I'm trying not to say that word.
Okay, crew chief.
Crew chief.
Or would it be from the owner of the team?
The owner. I think it's the crew chief. No, it's the
or maybe the commissioner,
played by Robert Duvall, or the commissioner. You're playing fast and loose with the rules, Villock.
I mean, there was that period of time where it seemed like Villock had kind of
act like you want to die out there on the course.
Got disqualified at Seafair when he was driving the Beacon Plumbing, owned by the late Billy Shoemaker. And that was a long time ago that this happened. I forget which year it was that this happened. That was like his comeback. And it was like over a decade ago, I think. Dave Villock disqualified Seafair. 2014. Yeah, he was suspended for the rest of Seafair after a collision. And that was, again, his comeback 11 years ago. People thought he was too old then. And now he's still winning gold cups.
There it is. I'm happy about Dave. It's one of those things where, I don't, as strongly as I can feel about any hydroplane driver, we're always kind of anti-Dave Villock, right?
Certainly during the Budweiser era, yes.
It's not because of being anti-Budweiser conceptually. I feel like that's important to explain the distinction. It was they were really good.
They were the Yankees at that point in particular. I mean, they were
they were the Yankees of this niche sport that happens in 4 cities throughout the country. And one of them is Madison, and it's not in Wisconsin.
At that point, it was like 8 to 10 races per year. There was some stat I was reading about Greg Hopp, who's still around driving the lighter class. I forget what they even call it these days. It's possibly, I don't think it's Grand Prix. It was Grand Prix for a while, Grand Prix West. Whatever they call it. He won the lights championship. And it's funny that they still refer to him as the younger son of Jerry Hopp, who was an unlimited driver when we first started watching this in the early 90s. And Greg Hopp is now 55 years old.
Uh-huh.
So, he's still the newcomer to the scene. I don't know where I was going with that one, though.
I mean, Andrew Tate, I still think of him as Mark Tate's son.
Yes, understandably.
With a very unfortunate name.
Just probably should go by Andy or Drew. There's a lot of options when you're named Andrew, but
he's the one who sucks.
Why change my name? He's the one who sucks. Yeah, he was such a period of Miss Budweiser was the dominant race team of the 70s and the 80s, but it was really in the 90s where everyone else started to kind of not have the resources, and Budweiser still did. And Villock, one of the conversations, there was a Tri-City Herald piece by Jeff Morrow over the weekend talking about if you were putting together sort of the perfect race team of all time, who would you want as your driver? Who would you want as your crew chief? And all sorts of these other roles. And people mentioned Dave Villock for multiple of these roles because he was a crew chief for Chip Hanauer's High Points champion boats before starting to drive in his own right at the unlimited level, is regarded as the finest at working with propellers and sort of,
he used to be the finest at everything.
He was. And so Budweiser was
when the rookie judges him because he comes in fast and loose.
You
act like you invented the sport. It's look, son, you don't know about Dave Villock. He used to be the finest at everything. He built the boats. He was the crew chief.
You're giving away too much at this point. Let's just write the script.
Let's not.
Let's get Kevin Arnovitz to do it.
Get me to Madison, Indiana. Let's write the script for the movie that isn't popular enough for Guntersville, Alabama.
I mean, it's popular enough. Just the weather does not work for it.
All right, fine.
Guntersville, not Guntersville. Yeah. So, I mean, as I look at the state of unlimited hydroplane racing, I'm not sure how many of these we have
That's
left.
I mispronounced so many words and cities, and Guntersville, Alabama is the one that you take offense to. You're like,
The way you pronounced it sounded
the
like
buck stops here.
it sounded like you were taking a shot.
I had never heard of the city until this very moment.
That's true. That is undoubtedly true. Anyways, I don't know how many of these we have left, and it's a bummer that the Storm are played on Sunday afternoon and on ABC against the Indiana Fever. And while Caitlin Clark will not be there, perhaps may not be there on the court, I will be there. So I will not be at Seafair Sunday for a second consecutive year. I will not be there. So
it's one of those things. Like, I just like knowing that Seafair is happening. I haven't attended in I don't know how many years.
Pre-pandemic number of years.
Definitely pre-pandemic number of years, but especially for the Sunday, like I haven't paid to attend for a very long time. But it's been, I don't know, 17 years, something like that, maybe more. But I like knowing that it's happening. And same with, like, I'm not even watching on TV at this point. The amount that I'm engaging with it is hearing you talk about it on the podcast.
But it is a Peltoncast tradition.
Deleting my search history after I Google some of the drivers. Just being like, please do not feed me any other content. But I like knowing that it's happening year after year.
Should I ask an AI program whether it's that Andrew Tate? Well, you know what I like knowing exists, and not because it's just there, but because I'm gonna eat it. The Little Woodies Pagliacci Pizza Burger collab.
Hello. Have you had this before?
Had this before. I mean,
have you had
this year?
Is this the first time we've ever done this?
The first time we've ever done this. So as we talked about on the pod a few weeks back when they first teased this, it isn't quite exactly what I was perhaps conceptualizing from the initial teaser video. So it is a round slice of pizza, Pagliacci style pizza, kind of similar to a frozen pizza, a mini frozen pizza, personal frozen pizza that you'd heat up. It's that on top of a burger patty.
How dare you insult that?
What?
You're comparing it to like a Red Baron mini pizza.
I'm just trying to have people understand the size and of it.
You don't have to say frozen though. You could compare it to like a personal pan pizza.
But it's not that large. It's smaller than that because it's got to be burger patty sized.
Okay. It feels a little bit like you're offending. This is me taking offense now to your description of pizzas.
Do you think that I'm not sufficiently in favor of our sponsor, Pagliacci Pizza?
I'm just
saying.
Your
point here? You think that I don't think that their
I want to put some respect on the quality of the pizza's name because it looks.
But it's not like what I originally was envisioning was sort of like an actual Pagliacci slice wrapped around a burger. And it's not quite that.
I would have been there for that also. Just noting.
Undoubtedly. But so that's basically acting as the top bun. On top of a burger, you've got mozzarella cheese, Pagliacci pizza spice aioli, Mama Lul's peppers, which really kind of make the whole thing, I gotta say. Basil and red onion on a Little Woody's bottom bun. That's the pizza burger. So they've tried a few different versions of these over the years as part of this Pagliacci Little Woody's collab. Like Pagliacci is...
You said this is the first time.
This is the first time they've done this.
This particular burger. Tell me about the previous versions.
I mean, I think they had basically pizza ingredients on a burger. Like there was
but they've never gone so far as to have a slice of pizza.
That's what I'm telling you.
We are heading toward. You know what I mean? Like you have the history of man evolution, right? We're getting toward the fully realized Homo sapien version of.
We're currently at Homo erectus.
I don't think we're quite there right now.
Okay.
This is a common ancestor, but what we need. I want to hear your review first, and then because I have to try this burger.
So I have a thought for you.
Okay.
I have to go.
I'm not going to customize it. Is that your thought?
No.
Oh, okay. This is a thought about when.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
I have to go to the Renton area near the Valley General Hospital tomorrow afternoon. If you wanted to meet me there, I could potentially pick up one of these at Lil Woody's and bring it to you.
Hello. What time?
2.
2. Perfect. Lock it in. I mean, my only concern is that it's not going to be as fresh as it could
Obviously.
be because it's going to have traveled from White Center to Renton in that time period. But I need to try it.
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm good. I've got no meetings.
So, I had Little Woody's tonight with
Crazy thing on the calendar. Okay.
my wife and a friend of hers, and they were both horrified at this idea of combining the pizza with the burger.
They
And
were. It's horrified, like a way that you describe something that you're really happy about.
but let me tell you, the tomato sauce, like the cheese, it just worked. The alchemy was just right. Like
it tasted good.
They slapped on this.
Did
They
it
clearly
taste like a pizza and a burger at the same time?
There were some bites where it did, yes. There were
Okay.
other bites where it tasted like a burger that was kind of pizza flavored.
Okay.
And just a pizza. But when you got them both together in the right combination, it did taste like you were eating both a burger and a pizza, which, yeah.
That's the goal, right?
I'm not saying that I'm going to eat that on a daily basis for health reasons, but for this, it is at the same time, obviously, individually, yes.
We're bordering on the greatest quote of all time. Your scientists are so preoccupied with whether or not they could. They didn't stop to think if they should. However,
they should.
They should in this case. I'm going to try it, but I know that I'm going in with the perspective that I might even make this myself.
It's not a bad idea. So this is through Monday. This is available on the Woodies.
I might, if I do this, I will post it on the Peltoncast Instagram. The next time that I go to Pagliacci, because I always have to make food for Marco anyway, right? I could just make burgers. Take a slice. It'd probably have to be 2, is what I'm thinking, right? Because they're when you get the pizza to go, a large pizza to go, they slice them pretty thin, right? And it has to be thick enough to be able to cover a burger patty. So I'm thinking 2 pizza slices right in the middle, burger everything.
All right. Well, I'm curious to see how you do this, but
you don't think I can do it?
I'm not. I'm not saying I don't think you can do it. I'm just curious to see how you do it.
Okay. No, I have to try this.
All right. Well, yes, you do. I mean, I recommend it highly.
My favorite part of the podcast is when we make actual plans.
Yes. Logistics live on the air. All right. With that, it is not your time for your favorite segment because you have decided that we are going to save that until after the trade deadline this week. Well, way to explain yourself. Dynamite dropping money.
You explained it.
Okay.
I'm such a Gemini that I thought about even making both of the takes about it, but it's kind of interesting because you wouldn't believe this. I trust, and he could lose this trust, Jerry Dipoto so much that I don't think that the Mariners are going to do anything out of pocket at this trade deadline. They might do nothing.
I don't think they're going to do nothing. I definitely think they're landing at least one relief.
They might not.
Obviously, on top of having already traded for Josh Naylor.
They might do nothing else big. But I trust Jerry Dipoto enough that I don't think he's going to make the kind of trade that it just doesn't really happen that much in the MLB anymore, where people make just like wild trades. But I trust Jerry Dipoto enough that I just don't think any of the Mariners' top prospects are.
Are we talking about at the trade deadline? It doesn't happen?
Or in general, where you trade
it did happen with Juan Soto.
Yeah, but Juan Soto was a young player in his prime.
So you're saying
I'm talking about for 40 games.
The Heathcliff Slocum trade doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it probably does. I'm sure there are examples, but it seems much less common now.
And some of the reporting is that the Diamondbacks are all asking for multiple of the Mariners' top 100 prospects in return for Gino. Like, obviously, that doesn't make sense for them to do.
I mean, this was another take that I considered delivering, which was basically like, why are we reporting on things that the Diamondbacks are? It's clearly in bad faith that this is happening.
In bad faith.
It's Tuesday of the deadline talk. It's not Friday of the deadline talk, or Thursday of the deadline talk.
Friday of the deadline talk is going to be very different. It's going to be how close the Danny Ainge was to landing the best player on the market.
But like,
is that an outdated joke now? I don't know.
no, I think people still talk about that. But basically, like, of course the Diamondbacks are asking for that right now. They're not up against the wall. Eugenio Suarez has very little value to the Diamondbacks for the rest of the season. If they get to Friday and they haven't traded him, the Diamondbacks have failed at the deadline because even lesser tier prospects are more valuable than Gino is to them at this point. Like the Diamondbacks have put themselves into a position whereas the other teams kind of have more leverage than they do, right? Like the Mariners, the Cubs, the Yankees. The Yankees already made a trade for a third.
The Yankees are out of it. Yes, traded for Ryan McMahon.
I don't know if I'd say they're out of it, but they're pretty unlikely. And I think it was partially like the Diamondbacks misplayed their hand here.
Perhaps.
Especially,
I mean, it's not over yet.
The Diamondbacks may have misplayed their hand here. And they also are trading with somebody in Jerry who's just, this isn't what he does. You have to kind of know who you're talking to and know the history. Obviously, the D-backs have traded with the Mariners before in a deal that...
Literally last week.
Well, yes, that one. But I think even the previous one, right? The Paul Sewald trade, like Jerry kind of won the deal.
I think both sides probably feel good about it at this point. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I don't know if you know this, they did go to the World Series that year.
Doesn't really register for a Mariners fan what that looks like. But longer term, like the Mariners have benefited more from it, especially with the way Canzone's been playing the last month. So it's just not a thing that he's going to do. Like they know who Jerry is. They know that he's not going to trade one of these prospects for the 40 games of Gino. And also, like, I don't know where Ben Williamson, I want to kind of say he single-handedly won the Mariners a game defensively on Monday night with the, it wasn't just one play. There were multiple plays. And Ben Williamson's defense is going to be really hard to take off the field. Now, obviously, Gino's a pretty huge upgrade hitting-wise, but he's looking a lot like a DH to the Mariners right now. And that kind of brings up some other problems, like then Jorge Polanco has to play in the field a lot more. Mitch Garver has to play catcher occasionally. Like the Mariners...
I think they would play... I guess they could play Gino at third and DH Polanco, or play DH Polanco, DH Gino, and play Polanco at second would both be options. And
that's
some
what
of
I'm
that
saying.
might be platoon wise.
Yeah, sure. But like I don't know how much they need Cole Young on the field, but like Gino doesn't exactly answer a lot of Mariners questions right now. And frankly, I don't think the Mariners have, aside from finding another bullpen arm, that many questions to answer.
Well, number 5 starter, where are we standing on our aces count right now? I mean, there's optimism that Bryce Miller will be back.
Sure, there's that. And I think Logan Evans, look, pitches left the ballpark today, and there were too many hits. To me, I care about strikeouts so much. And this was actually one of the better performances from that perspective from Logan Evans. I kind of thought his stuff looked pretty good. So I was a little bit, like this, I'm assuming it was a career high in strikeouts for him today, which is kind of like a longer term portent for Logan Evans than necessarily the bad performance. And there are other things that the team looks at. They don't just look at like, did this player do good? Did this player do bad?
Of course.
So, but Gino doesn't answer that question either. He's an upgrade
number
in the
5 starter? No, I don't think he answers that question.
He is an upgrade in the lineup, possibly a huge upgrade.
Everyone knows that the Mariners' most important pitcher is now at AAA.
Who's that?
Miles Mastrobuoni.
Oh, yeah. So I just don't know if they're a Gino away either. I mean, look, like we said about Josh Naylor last week, it's important to have a lot of major league bats as you head to September. There's injuries are a possibility always. So, but he's not that versatile, and he's not a very good defender. And he's hit in Seattle before, and it's gone good.
It went well. I mean, let's be clear. Gino was very productive offensively his 2 seasons. And like, obviously the possibility that the Mariners will have to give up any type of significant prospect for him after salary dumping him does reflect a miscalculation by Jerry Dipoto in the front office in the midst of a strikeout hysteria after the 2023 season went awry.
I mean,
Looking at
his second season, it was a 714 OPS, like 22 homers.
what's the WRC plus on that at T-Mobile Park? Probably pretty good, right? You don't have that information readily available.
No, I don't have it up. I've got Baseball Reference up.
All right, I'll look up.
But also he's been way better this season than any year since 2019.
If you're expecting to get, wow, Cal Raleigh and Gino Suarez going back and forth every day for the MLB home run lead if you trade for him, like, no, that's not realistic.
Because Cal has way too many homers.
I mean, Gino got pretty close for a minute there.
Cal's got 5 homer lead right now.
Hit in the hand left. This was yesterday's game, I believe, Monday's game. But finger, the MRI and CAT scan on his finger were negative, so he is day to day, not a concern there.
It's a little bit of a concern. Not a huge concern there. And if you lose any games from Gino, if you're trading for him right now, the value goes way down. So
I don't know if I would go that far.
I think it's the type of situation like the Diamondbacks.
105 WRC plus in 2023, so not outstanding, but 132 in 2022, which was actually before this season, well, the second best of his career.
That was a great season, but what has it been the 2 years in Arizona?
115 and then 143 this year.
I mean, that's the outlier, right? You hope he continues for the rest of the season, but
if you
I hope Gino goes out and gets paid as well. Like
obviously.
He's probably going to get a deal, but I could see the market looking for him a little bit like a 2-year deal or something after this.
The projections generally cluster around the 115 to 120 range for him the rest of the season.
Okay, which is quite a bit lower than it has been. Major League Baseball teams are not stupid. And I think the Diamondbacks are, obviously they're not either. I get what they're doing and why they're doing it. But again, I think they might have misplayed their hand in the situation when the prospects may be lower now that we know that the Yankees probably aren't in the mix. And for the Mariners, there's going to be, like I said last week, there's an offer on the table from the Mariners of how far they're willing to go. And the Diamondbacks are balking at that offer right now, or at least not willing to get there because they hope that somebody else emerges. And I'm just not sure if that other team is there. And if we get to Thursday and that other deal hasn't materialized and Jerry is still willing to get to whatever, I mean, I don't think we're talking top 10 prospects in the organization. I'd be shocked if we were. If it was anybody significant. And I would
surprised, but maybe back half of the top 10.
I would also be unhappy with that. Because again, the arbitration years for some of these players, even if they never pan out, the possibility of that, the other deals that you can include them in, because it's not just losing that player to that team. It's also the opportunity to take one of those players and include them in a package when a superstar pops up. There's other things that can be done when you have the kind of prospects that the Mariners have. They're in one of the best positions, short-term and long-term, in baseball.
This is we're doing you a favor. The Mariners saying our view is, like, if we stay in contention for a long period of time, especially the way that the MLB playoffs work, eventually one of those runs is going to translate into, an ALCS and a statue and probably a World Series appearance. So, we'll see if they deviate from that. I don't know that I expect that they will either, but we'll see.
Jerry's made mistakes, but he's good at this. Like the salary dump for Gino was a mistake. And I do think there was a little bit of, I don't know whether it came from him or where it came from the organization, but they sort of lost sight. But at the same time, like the Kelenic dump wasn't a mistake necessarily. No. And I don't know if you could have predicted that Gino would have gotten as much better as he's gotten right now.
You couldn't have predicted that, but they also, I think, were predicting that he was going to potentially even get worse than he had been his last season in Seattle. And even in 2024, that was not the case. And, he's certainly worth his salary, I think, during his first season in Arizona. Adam Jude of the Seattle Times reported Monday before that Ben Williamson defensive gem, the game that you referenced, that yes, the Mariners would like to reunite with Gino, but his trade talks are expected to escalate in the next 24 hours. Sources say the more urgent need for the Mariners is a proven late inning pitcher. And because of the various bullpen options available in the market, there's a growing optimism around the club that a deal will come together before Thursday's deadline. So, a couple other things we should talk about. Josh Naylor can't stop stealing bases since he became a Mariners player. I had no idea this was coming when they first got him, I gotta say. And I'm enjoying it quite a lot. I'm enjoying the Josh Naylor experience, despite being relatively down on the trade. Unsurprisingly, talked myself into him pretty quickly. Also, second half, Julio, 4 home runs in 3 games for the first time in his career during the series against the Angels. He loves hitting at Angels Stadium in Anaheim. Had a couple of hits on Tuesday night, even in that loss. Julio hitting up right on schedule.
What is Josh Naylor's WRC plus with the Mariners? Can you find it? I mean, he's been a beast in these handful of games.
I mean, it's going to be for 2 games, I think, because I don't think it's updated through tonight. So, and I don't know that they I don't know for sure that they have that split, but let's see here. Yeah, they just have his overall total.
The 900 OPS. But I like the lineup as is. I'm totally fine with the lineup as is.
Well, some news about the lineup as is, by the way, we should mention. Luke Raley, Dan Wilson said post-game Tuesday, headed to the IL with back stiffness, and Sean Locklear. Sean Locklear? No, not the Seahawks offensive lineman. Tyler Locklear, in the midst of just tearing the cover off the ball at AAA Tacoma, headed to the major leagues for the first time this season to replace him on the roster on Wednesday, assuming he isn't traded before then, which seems unlikely. It's kind of amazing that Donovan Solano is still hanging around on this roster.
They're going to find a way to give Tyler Locklear every chance.
I don't think that Donovan Solano will be on the roster after Thursday or Friday or, whenever these players report. But Donovan Solano now, your number 3 option on the depth chart at first base. Where you would really like to have as many guys who are primarily first basemen or exclusively first basemen.
I'm a little shocked that they felt the need to call up Tyler Locklear, but I think it's more of.
I think this was we know he's going to replace Solano after the deadline anyway, so let's just make the move now.
It was only 49 plate appearances his last time up. Like the experience feels like a little bit longer than it was, but that's not enough time to fully judge. I think Tyler Locklear has,
without question,
I mean, probably more pop, definitely more pop than Ben Williamson, somebody like that. Like we would expect more from him offensively than maybe Cole Young or Ben Williamson right now.
I would say unquestionably so. As we talked about last week, the standards are just very different for first basemen than they are players at other positions.
And Williamson is he's such a phenomenal defender that, I mean, he has given the Mariners a very hard decision at third base. If he was worse, and he's a not great hitter, but he is such a great defender in an important position, that it makes the Gino conversation a little bit different right now.
Last year at AAA, Locklear had an 801 OPS. It's 945 so far this season. He's got 19 home runs, which is more than he had last year across all the teams, minor league teams that he played for, in 74 fewer plate appearances. So some good stuff. And Tyler Locklear, I mean, he's 24. Like he's still a major
I
player.
freaking like Tyler Locklear. I'm sure he was down there just this whole time, just mashing, being like, "Can you just hurry up and call me up? Like, what do I have to do?"
I'm sure
right now. It's a hitter's park.
It's a hitter's league.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. It's more, I think, other stadiums than Tacoma in the Pacific Coast League, but certainly Albuquerque, Sacramento, as we now know, both in the Pacific Coast League and in Major League Baseball Hitters Park. There's some others in there. Albuquerque. Anything else in the Mariners?
We're going to see after this week, but the fan graphs numbers, they all look good.
We're also going to see whether there's an emergency pod later this week.
I think the Mariners are in a very good situation right now overall. And like we talked about, like Julio's hitting, Randy's hitting, Cal, Naylor, like the lineup's it's feeling pretty good overall.
After they scored 1 run for the second time
It
in 3
happens.
games.
It happens. Severino said kryptonite.
I'm not worried about it either, but it is funny timing. All right, let's get into the roundup, starting with Seattle Sounders, who played a relatively low-scoring games by their standards on Saturday. Atlanta United opened the scoring in the 7th minute, credited as a Yomar Gomez Andrade own goal, but the Sounders rallied with an equalizer by Pedro de la Vega, a terrific goal in transition, and then went ahead in stoppage time, which was 8 minutes. No, that seems like a lot to you. With Osase de Rosario's first career goal to take a 2-1 lead, only for Atlanta to get a screamer from Alexei Miranchuk to produce a 2-2 draw. XG in this one back in a more normal range, 0.8 for each team, but they overperformed it with their scores from outside the box. Sounders still fourth in the West standings entering the Leagues Cup, but now only 1 point up on Portland and 2 up on LAFC, two teams they'd love to hold off. On Tuesday, the Sounders signed 18-year-old midfielder Snyder Brunel to a homegrown player contract on Tuesday, adding midfield depth. Out of the Leagues Cup, Brunel has spent the past 3 seasons with Tacoma Defiance and appeared with the Sounders twice last season in the U.S. Open Cup on short-term contracts. Brian Schmetzer also cited his performance when he was training with the first team in I forget what the name of the place in Spain is that they traditionally travel to, but I believe Schmetzer noted he had to play 120 minutes in a match due to the Sounders' depth and injury issues at that point, and really impressed as a teenager with his ability to hang in there against European competition. But the important note here is confirmed by Sounder at Heart after Schmetzer alluded to it. Snyder Brunel is, of course, nephews of Mark Brunel.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take
So there
it.
is a relation. Sounders opened Leagues Cup play Thursday, hosting Cruz Azul in a group featuring, under the current format now, they'll play all Liga MX opponents. Santos Laguna comes to Lumen Field on Sunday. Both of those matches are on FS1 for non-MLS season pass subscribers who can't always see the team play. Cruz Azul unbeaten through the first 3 matches of the Apertura in Liga MX after finishing third in last season's Clausura, where Santos Laguna finished in the cellar with just 2 wins in 17 matches. So that the better chance certainly for the Sounders to get a victory here. This is no longer a group format, so advancement is based on total points through 3 matches across all MLS teams. The top 4 will advance to the quarterfinals later in August. Seattle Reign FC finished their prep for the second half of the NWSL schedule by traveling down to Portland for a friendly on Saturday and winning a shootout 5-4 after neither team found the goal through 90 minutes. Claudia Dickey had a pair of saves in the shutout, including the final shot after teams reached sudden death. Mia Fischel started again for the Reign, played the entire first half, continuing to work up. Expect to see her start in her first NWSL match on Friday. Is the Reign are back at it for real, hosting Angel City. As a reminder, Reign are 6th in the NWSL standings. Angel City is 11th with a -4 goal differential, largely due to their defensive woes. The 24 goals the Angels have allowed are 3rd most in NWSL. Seattle Storm finished off a 2-1 road trip highlighted by blowout wins over Chicago, as we talked about last week, and Connecticut. It was a great 3-game stretch for the Storm bench, which played well in both blowouts, but also got the Storm back in their loss at Washington on Saturday with a 16-0 run to start the 4th quarter after the starters had really struggled offensively. Erica Wheeler was the only starter to make a field goal after halftime. So when they came back in with the bench starting to tire late in this game, the Mystics were able to pull away. Brittany Sykes was a real problem for the Storm. Sonia Citron kind of outplayed Gabby Williams pretty badly in this one. Dominique Malunga, though, led that bench charge with 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals in 6 minutes of 4th quarter action, coming off her first career double-double at Chicago, then followed up by scoring double figures again on Monday in Connecticut as she played a career-high 25 minutes, most on the team in
Led
that
the team in
lopsided win.
minutes.
Yeah, you love to
This
see
is
it.
what should be happening in games like this, especially.
Right. Games like this, for sure. But you see Malunga continuing to get it. It's not, you can't say it's like every game she gets a little bit better, because there are steps forward and there are steps back. But the continued progress over the course of the season is trending in the right direction. We are seeing so many flashes of brilliance, and we are right there on the precipice of the first Don Malunga game dunk There was a moment on Saturday in Washington where she tipped away a pass in transition and just wasn't able to quite carry the ball, gather the ball cleanly. Had a layup where she was right at the rim. Same thing in the fourth quarter at Connecticut. It is going to happen any game now. You can
Hello.
feel it.
Okay, so I think yes, Dominic Malunga is starting to get it. I think the one who's starting to get it though is Noel Quinn.
Yeah.
And when you look at the minute distribution in this game against Connecticut, they're 4-21, right? The Storm were doing what they were supposed to be doing in this game. You know, like it got closer than it needed to be because the Sun scored a bunch in the fourth quarter, right? I'm assuming.
Mostly because the Storm couldn't score at all in the fourth quarter. This was where the bench did not play as well when it was exclusively them on the court.
I think it was just like you're up. I mean, how much were they up at that point?
They were up 32 at one point.
It's a different speed of basketball when you're up 32 points.
Not worried about it.
To see a distribution of minutes like this, where Ezzy's playing 17 minutes, where Neka's playing 19 minutes, less than 20 minutes in a game, you need to get these players rest in situations like that against Connecticut, and that's what they haven't been doing throughout this season.
They did do it, I would say, in fairness, in the game at Chicago as well. Like this is a trend now.
That's my point. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying this is a more recent thing,
right?
That Noel Quinn has understood. You have to have more than 7 or 8 players on a roster,
and the bench has played well enough to justify it.
But they were also playing well enough to justify it early.
No, the bench was not playing well enough to justify it early. Do not agree with that assessment. Malunga was having games where she justified it, but it's also Lexi Brown who's been more productive lately. Alicia Clark, after going through an extended shooting drought, starting to be more of a threat offensively again. So, a lot of positive signs with the Storm bench.
I mean, the 40-point victory against Chicago is the same, but it wasn't as drastic. It was even further in this Connecticut game. And
it was even further for Malunga. I mean, Neka played 20 minutes in that game against Chicago.
But considering this was a 16-point win and that was almost 40-point win, like having those two be close, I think Noel Quinn is starting to figure it out. And this is going to benefit the team long term.
I agree. The difference here is the Storm led that one by 27 going to the fourth quarter. The Connecticut game, they led by 29 going to the fourth quarter. So the difference was strictly in how the bench performed in that fourth quarter, not how they played over the first 3.
All right. Well, either way, it is nice to see this distribution of minutes.
It's great to see. And it comes before they actually get an extended, difficult travel back from Connecticut, but they have 3 days off before their first homestand of the second half of the season.
It's not difficult travel because they play a game on Monday and then don't play again until Friday. That's more than enough time. I've flown back from Connecticut before.
Well, it's less difficult travel than it used to be, but I think you still do have to bus to the airport in Hartford to fly out, which is a couple hours, I think, from Mohegan Sun Casino. But anyways, back home this weekend to host Los Angeles and Indiana. It'll be my first time at Climate Pledge Arena since mid-June, I think. I can't even remember what the last game was anymore. It's been such a long period of time. Sparks
because they haven't played at home, or you just haven't been to them?
It hasn't worked out. I was sick for a period of time and missed several games. Then
we all heard
there was some during summer league.
Many people said it was the best podcast yet.
Oh wow. No, it was the best mock off season. Yeah, that was my flu game, not the Peltoncast. Sparks were surging.
You just bailed on that one. It'd be like if your flu game, if Jordan was like, Scotty, you do all the work here.
Oh, yeah. Scotty did do a lot of the work in that game, to be clear. Had a great game. Sparks were surging ahead of Cameron Brink's return to the lineup on Tuesday. They then lost to the Las Vegas Aces in that game with Asia Wilson going off for 30-plus points and 10 boards. A game where, Storm wanted both teams to lose somehow, but certainly LA you'd rather, because it's starting to look much more like LA is going to make the playoffs and not hand the Storm a lottery pick with a high chance of being the number 1 pick in 2026. Golden State dealing with some injuries, but they did get the very impressive win Tuesday at Atlanta. They're a game and a half up on the Sparks in 9th. And then the Mystics are 2 games up in 8th. They also won on Tuesday night. So Sparks playoff chances took a bit of a hit in that one. And the Storm would love, they play the Sparks, I think, 3 more times the rest of the season. So these are games where the Storm have even more incentive than usual to get victories to not only, help their own cause, but help keep LA out of the playoffs and get a lottery pick all for themselves. Yeah, they have 3 of their final 17 games are against the Sparks, 2 of those at home. So then Sunday, the Fever probably not going to see Caitlin Clark as she continues to deal with these ongoing muscle injuries. Tuesday, the WNBA leading Minnesota Lynx come to town for, is that the first time this season? No, they did play here in the Commissioner's Cup. That's right, in June. The Storm handed them their first loss. That's right, in June. That was actually the last game I was at, was that Minnesota game on June 11th. So it's been a minute. But an exciting 3-game homestand for the Storm as they look to continue putting themselves in position for home court advantage in the first round. That Atlanta loss to Golden State, helpful not only in terms of keeping the Sparks out of the playoffs, but also because the Storm are now a half game ahead of the Dream for the 4th seed. Fever a game and a half back, Aces 2 back in a pretty tight race. All right, UW football. Fall practice starts on Wednesday. It's here. Not a lot of huge updates to report this week. We'll see when they get on the field, but we're getting down to it. Seahawks, unfortunately, some bad news. The worst kind of news you can have from training camp is on Saturday. Backup running back Kenny McIntosh suffered an ACL tear early in practice. He went on season-ending IR, so wishing him the best for a return in 2026. An opportunity for Damian Martinez, who they drafted in the 7th round, now probably slides up to 3rd on the depth chart. We'll get some competition from George Halani there. The Seahawks also signed undrafted rookie DK Kaufman to fill that spot on the roster vacated by McIntosh.
I really like Damian Martinez at Miami. So.
Oh yeah, I liked him at Oregon State.
There we go.
So top that. If someone comes back that they liked him in high school, I'll be very impressed. DK Kaufman played safety at 3 colleges, finishing up at North Carolina State, but is joining the Seahawks as a running back. If you move him to running back, relative athletic score rates him 8th among that group based on his combine testing. But the real value for Kaufman is as a kick returner. He led the ACC with 469 yards and a 31.3 average on kickoffs last season. That was one of Kenny McIntosh's role. So certainly something the Seahawks are going to be looking at during training camp in the preseason.
It sucks. I mean, I liked Kenny McIntosh. It's one of those things where you just think about it as a human being, and you're waiting the entire season or off season. You're just like, I can't wait to get out there, right? And then the first practice, right? It was the first
not the
practice.
First practice, no.
One of the first practices to tear your ACL and just have your season be over. It just, I don't know. I literally was talking with Luke earlier about there's two parts of every sport basically, and it's there's always the physical part and then there's the mental part, and this one is real trying on the mental part for Kenny McIntosh to have that happen and have to sit through an entire season and just know that you're the clock all of a sudden is just reset to 2026 instantly like that.
I mean, look, obviously I've always been cognizant of this, talking to players and hearing them talk about it, but particularly now that I have broken my thumb and had to deal with using a split for a couple of weeks, there's real life. It's not just you don't get to play football. It's also you're going to be on crutches for a long period of time. Real life things are going to be difficult. So yeah, these injuries suck.
ESPN senior writer Kevin Pelton hurts his thumb slightly and now understands athletes.
It's all I ever didn't
Minnie said
understand.
every one of those grades is going to go to a plus.
Oh, wow. But they're already a B plus. How could they go any higher?
That's true. Every B becomes. I noticed your off-season grades, by the way. I was trying to count the B pluses, and I was like,
not as many.
Yeah. Not many.
It's different than with the trade grades. I would say. I don't know. Either that or it's in my head.
The Peltoncast has bullied you out of B pluses. The Discord.
Not even bullied me. Just memed me out of B pluses. That's the power of the Discord. If you're not on there, check us out. DJ Infrared popped in to say hello to all of us, to introduce himself. Haven't seen him back yet, so hopefully we will. Working. On that note,
thanks for listening.
You've still got about 20 minutes left.
I've got so many things running through my head. I was thinking about Mariners hot takes, and I was like, I had a bunch of different angles, and they were all bad,
Oh no.
every single one. Because I was like, I just need to wait until after the trade deadline, post trade deadline hot takes. But
I just came up with a Mariners hot takes angle. I'm not going to say it, but
why? What
it's
is it?
too hot for the pod.
What?
Well, it was like a reference to current political situations.
What about current political situations?
So like if the Mariners had a list of people they might be trading for, but they didn't release the list.
It's not. That's just like kind of a stupid take.
Oh,
Sorry.
how
I
so?
also judge other hot takes.
I mean, we know that.
I am telling you, I thought through like the most like high concept hot takes. I was thinking about like the Colbert Report cancellation
Yeah.
and weaving it in with the Mariners, because there's some things. This is not a hot take, but like I of course never watched the program, and I was annoyed about its cancellation for obviously the political reasons. But I've been listening to The Town with Matt Bellany. It's like a pretty good podcast.
Yeah.
It's nice to listen to a podcast where a person just like really clearly knows a lot. I feel like,
So you're
unlike
saying,
this one,
yeah, I was gonna say. Wait,
except about hydro
okay.
plants.
Oh, yes. So in my continued efforts to see if AI is completely worthless, I threw into Google Gemini last week. Uh, or no, sorry, this is Microsoft Copilot. Let me not impugn Google here. Uh, who would be good guess for Talkin' Taco Time? And then separately, who would be a good guess for the fabulous Peltoncast? It hallucinated many people, including a Seattle Times food critic who doesn't exist, various executives who don't exist. I believe it said Pete Carroll was still the coach of the Seahawks. I can't remember that one for sure. But the best part is, do you want to know who that suggested as a guest for the fabulous Peltoncast?
I'm so fascinated
Think about who the funniest possible answer for this would be.
of who the
Of course,
Ichiro?
no, it did suggest Sue Bird, yeah,
Okay,
which been there. Would love to have her back.
who's the funniest answer to who it would be?
An expert in Seattle sports who could be on the Pelton cast? Someone who is a prominent national writer.
Oh, Kevin Pelton.
ESPN's Kevin Pelton.
My favorite thing about
So we're gonna have to go on and get on that. I mean, it's amazing
is
that it didn't
so
hallucinate
funny.
me.
I don't think it hallucinated you. You exist.
It
The funny thing about
hallucinated me off the podcast. That's what it
AI is that
hallucinated.
AI is just generated from the internet. You know
It's-
what I mean?
it's true.
And it's like, it's just a Google search, people. It's just a Google search compiled.
But it's not a Google search because Google
But it's-
search would not invent a food critic for the Seattle Times who does not exist.
They just don't exist at all. How
No.
did they find that?
I,
It must have gathered some other names and like
That's
got
why it's
confused and turned them into one.
that's why it's no. I don't think it's even that. I mean, it was not recognizable, and there were other hallucinations in the Pelton cast one.
That is so
Yeah.
funny. God, we should see if Kevin Pelton's around.
Can we get that guy? Notoriously difficult to lock down.
But okay, so the thing that I was thinking was, I of course never watched Colbert Report, and I don't see it online. It just does not enter into my world, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is probably true for a lot of people. But I like knowing it exists,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it's the kind of the same as baseball.
I feel like baseball does exist in your world.
No, in my world. But there are a lot of people that the good thing about baseball is you can just dip in and then you can dip out. But you like knowing that it exists.
You know what? That was
I
the case
literally-
in my household this evening. The Mariners game was put on, and I was not the one who suggested it, and it was a dip in.
You dipped out probably pretty quickly after that one. Look at him. It's
Our-
might
our
be off
guest-
the list.
Our guest did leave pretty quickly. Yes.
Oh, you had a guest.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
It was my wife's suggestion to put the game on. To be clear, not the guest.
But you would never want to out somebody as a baseball fan. But like, I like knowing that it's there for me. Should I ever want to tune in? And it's the same. Like, if the late show is going away forever, it's not an institution like the Tonight Show, obviously, like that existed way, way before us. But it's still like, I don't know what year they're on, right? Like probably year 30 or so, maybe a little bit. What
It
year
was
did?
either 93 or 94.
Okay.
Because I vividly recall like being excited about David Letterman going to 11:35 because it was much easier for us to watch him at 11:35, even though I was still too young to be staying up to that point, but a little less too young at 11:35 than 12:35, which was unthinkable at age 11. And you were like 8, maybe
Yeah.
9.
So I was thinking how baseball is kind of like that, though. Baseball is just like, even if I didn't pay attention to baseball for, it's actually a shorter period of time than you would think, I guess.
Yes, because of your fantasy involvement.
I did have a period where I was paying attention to fantasy baseball. I don't know if I would say I was a Mariners fan, but it was at least a decade that I just didn't care at
August
all.
30th, 1993.
Oh wow, we're coming up on the anniversary. Um, but I want it to be there, right? Like I want baseball to be there. I also was thinking about a take of that baseball is actually secretly the fastest growing American sport and probably the most likely to continue American sport. Which I maybe sort of believe.
Also on the Discord, they're fast growth.
I
of course,
maybe
baseball
sort of
is
believe that
responding
as
to
well.
that growth by demanding a salary cap and trying to lock out the players.
It's not going to happen. I was also thinking, can you explain to me? So the most overpaid athlete, overpaid is not the right word, because everybody is paid appropriately in terms of the income, right?
I mean, I don't know that I would say that, but I don't know what you're saying
As
exactly.
a sport, not like every individual. Certain individuals can be paid more than their productivity or whatever,
right.
But all athletes should be getting a large portion of the income generated from the sport instead of ownership, right?
Revenue generated.
Revenue generated. So, but the athletes, when you look at it, where it's like this player is making X and this player is making X, when you look at cross sports, NBA players are like drastically way higher, where you're like Corey Brewer's making $25 million. You know what I mean? It's like highest paid athletes. Corey
Brewer is now the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans summer league team, not making $25 million.
Look at that. I don't know fringe NBA players, but yeah, it's like Pat Mahomes, Dalton Connect, Jamar Chase. Like the NBA players are by far the like most disproportionate. But I think it's because there's just less on a team, so there's more money to go around.
Exactly, yes. And therefore they have a lot more influence, as it turns out, because there's only 5 of them on the court at a time.
Well, and also like one really good player. We learned this weekend, like one baseball player just can't make that huge of a difference. I think one football player, I think in terms of...
We just this weekend learned that?
I learned it.
Oh, I see.
In the tournament that Luka played in. Hey, they won the gold championship.
Before you were like, Mike Trout, that guy just isn't clutch. That's why the Angels don't make the playoffs.
Yes.
Ichiro,
basketball.
Fraud. That's why the Mariners didn't make the playoffs.
I said what I said. But NBA is like number one player can impact success the most. Football is probably number 2, but it's really only if they're a quarterback.
Yes.
And then baseball's
quarterback is the NBA. All the other positions of the NFL.
But you can still have a really great quarterback and not be a good team. And I don't know if you could have like a top 10 quarterback. I don't think you can be a top 10 player in the league and like not make the playoffs in the NBA.
Yeah, you for sure can.
Okay, fair enough.
The 2004 Minnesota Timberwolves called.
Okay.
And I mean, last year Victor Wembanyama.
1 years ago they called.
Victor Wembanyama was clearly one of the 10 best players. Not clearly, but he was one of the 10 best players in the league before his deep vein thrombosis diagnosis, and the Spurs were not going to make the playoffs or be particularly close. So I disagree with that. I think it's actually quite similar.
But baseball, the way that baseball's set up with the team control for however many years, like, yes, you can get paid very large sums after that, but I'm like, all of these other sports, you get paid way more earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that baseball should be arguing for a salary cap, but like there is a much bigger, the middle class of football and basketball is probably a little bit higher than the middle class of baseball.
Necessarily. It's just that because of the fact that it's so difficult to acquire star talent in their prime, star talent not in their prime tends to be wildly overpaid.
In baseball?
Yeah. It's very similar. Like the NBA rookie contracts, you can specifically show like this is what rookies made before. NFL rookie contracts, I'm sure, are pretty similar too. Like you can specifically show this is what rookies made before, this is what they make now, and because the percentage of revenue, as you were saying, is relatively fixed, like if you're not paying that to players on their rookie contracts, you're paying that to veterans instead. Baseball has that same thing. It's just that the rookie contracts, quote unquote, are like 7 years instead of 4 in the NBA, up to 5 in the NFL.
And see, I don't. Is that good for? Because like, there's certain like Bryce
It's
Harper
good
being mad about
for
it.
it's good for the members of the union because guess what? The members of the union are disproportionately likely to be out of those or to
Old
not have to worry
players.
about those contracts going forward. Whereas, who is going to worry about those contracts going forward? Players who are currently in the minor leagues or haven't been drafted yet.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
not part
also
of the
like
union.
there's just way more people who play baseball. There are way more professional baseball players than any other sport, if you include minors. Um, so I kind of get it from that perspective. But if you're Cole Young could have like a couple pretty good seasons, and then if injury or whatever he just doesn't develop, washes out, it's like Cole
Yeah.
Young could not be that wealthy long term.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in the NBA, at the very least, like the amount of money that they're making is, I don't even know.
It's
Like,
the
what is a
difference
standard,
between
like a first round pick contract versus Cole Young is a massive difference, right?
yes. I mean, Cole Young will be making the minimum for at least a couple of years and then arbitration for a few. I think you have generally like arbitration is basically when players get off their rookie contracts in the NBA, but the before that it's much less money. Basically, everyone's at the minimum or
He did
close
get a
to it.
signing bonus at the very least.
Yeah, I mean that's the difference. Like it's just a totally different structure. But yes, if you were decided to be like, what's the most fair to the average player, I don't think you would design it like baseball. Like if they blew up the entire financial structure of baseball, it might be better for the players, but I understand why they are reluctant to do that and skeptical that it would serve anyone but the owners.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just like the pre-arbitration years. You could be obviously like MLB teams are not trying to buy players out of those years and
Right, but they're
extend them
still
for
doing it at
longer.
a discount because of the fact that the teams are taking much less of a risk than the
And they have
players are. Like
the
if
MLB
Evan
has
White
more
goes bust,
leverage.
like it doesn't make that big of a difference for the Mariners in the end, but it makes a huge difference for like it's great for Evan White that he got the money when he did.
Yeah, but there just aren't that many Evan Whites. The people who are more likely is like
Well, that's the
Bobby
point
Witt
is
and
that
Julio
yes,
or whatever.
yes. Because of that risk, because the players are taking on more of the risk, therefore they are willing to settle for what ultimately prove below market contracts until they make it to free agency and then
In
get too
2035.
much. Well, I mean, and not them specifically.
I mean, I guess Bobby Witt's deal is a pretty freaking good buyout as arbitration years deal. He's making like it up to 35 billion guaranteed for a couple of seasons. And then he has like personal opt-outs at 35 million for 4 years, well into his 30s. So that's just a better deal. But I mean, he could be making 50 million for those seasons if he's good enough or more. And also like the way that the money is going to go up by 2031.
Right.
Uh, I don't know. Yeah, it was a little bit like it's better, but also it's not better in some ways. Which is why teams value that sweet, sweet team control so much.
Yeah.
Okay, another thought that I had was
Oh, we
Ken
haven't
Griffey,
had enough?
Ken Griffey Jr. retired 2 years before Luca was born.
Okay.
And I was like, does Ken Griffey Jr. feel like a like current relevant MLB player? And he was like, yes, of course. And I was thinking about how I think this is a modern phenomenon, and I think it's because of video games. And I think it's probably across all sports, basketball, baseball, and football. Players from the 90s and the 2000s seem relevant way more than they did when we were children.
The equivalent players.
Yes. Well, he has like Terry Pendleton in his MLB The Show team, like his Road to the Show or whatever. Not Road to the Show. I can't remember what it's called. The like MLB The Show team that you like collect players on your own and then you go play against other people with those players. And I'm like, no fucking way would we have heard of the like that equivalent of Terry Pendleton to us.
Terry Pendleton's prime was 20 years before Luca was born, so this is someone whose prime would have been in the 60s
And also,
and
like,
not that good.
he did win an MVP, I will
Terry
say.
Pendleton won an MVP
He won an MVP and he finished second the next year
in Atlanta or in St. Louis.
in Atlanta. His first year in Atlanta in '91.
Wow, that's new information to me. The list of players who won MLB MVP never ceases to amaze. I mean, obviously you have two of them per year, but
He retired 14 years before Luca was born.
so someone who retired in 1968 was new to me.
Yes. And so won an MVP in the 50s. I could almost assure you that I don't know if they had MVPs in the 50s, but like
They did, yes, have MVPs in the 50s.
there's definitely an MVP in the 1950s that I have not heard of, unless they're all like the most legendary players of all time.
For some reason, the name that popped into my head was the pitcher Robin Roberts, not to be confused with the journalist Robin Roberts. Not an MVP, but a 7-time All-Star. Not a is he a Hall of Famer? Not quite. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, fourth ballot, 1976. Like I'm aware of his name and that he existed, but would I have known anything about him at age 14 or 13? Probably not. Yeah. Yeah, that probably checks out.
And I don't think there was anybody even aside from Babe Ruth who retired. Like this would have been somebody who retired in 1983 who still like old players seemed really old.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the quality of the video. I agree. I mean, I think there are like Reggie Jackson. I don't know when he retired. He's someone who would have seemed pretty relevant to us, I think, at that point.
Have you ever heard of a person named Jeff Burrows? Do we know that name?
His son played in MLB, right? Sean Burrows?
Oh, that's Sean. Maybe 1974 MVP. That's even
Yeah,
like
I'm pretty sure
recently.
that's Sean Burrows' dad.
Boog Powell, I only know from the barbecue.
Yes.
1963 AL MVP Elston Howard.
I'm familiar with Elston Howard. I mean,
Are you?
I've spent more time probably reading baseball history than
Solio
you have.
Versailles.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just
But
a name to me.
I mean, there are like big name players, obviously. You know, it's like Frank Robinson, Roberto Clemente, Willie Mays.
Yogi Berra was someone who seemed very relevant to us. I
Did
mean, he
he?
was a 3-time MVP.
He seemed like a very old person though.
Well, I agree. He seemed very old. I don't. I don't know. Yeah, I can see that part of the point. He was 57 when I was born, so he's considerably older than Griffey would have been. But these are like, yeah, I don't know.
Do we have a tribute to Washington State's own Ryan Sandberg?
We do, yes.
Okay.
We did.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I think it's true for the NBA as well. Like early 2000s NBA players.
Well, it's just like, yeah, I think the quality of the video is a big factor. Like, you can go watch a bunch of Sean Kemp dunks on YouTube.
But
like, Julius Erving dunks existed, but how was I going to find them? I know, I agree.
Because like they didn't have old players in games. You had the NBA. That was it.
Sometimes they didn't even have current players in games.
The rookies putting in the name for when you had to make the rookies, you had
or
to
Michael
put in the name,
Jordan,
then it would generate them, or it didn't have Michael Jordan. Man, this fucking Morgan Wallen concert. It was like the most important thing that happened in children's baseball world at the very least. I think City of Seattle was, and probably the South and the North parts, extreme North and extreme South.
Well, who appeared at did Marshawn Lynch appear at the concert?
He did.
Yeah.
The amount of people on Saturday who were wearing Morgan Wallen merch was just like, good God, people. But that kind of happens, that kind of phenomenon. You could tell when somebody's like really, really, like there are artists who play, like the Lumineers are going to play at T-Mobile Park. I'm not going to see a ton of people with Lumineers merch. It really is like, it's strictly like,
I don't know if the people who like the Lumineers are the kind of people that like wear a lot of merch.
I mean, I'm sure they're doing insane merch numbers, but like
I'm sure they're doing just fine.
There's a certain few shows, like the Kendrick SZA show is just like permeates. It's still like it becomes a part of culture in that place after they play a show, that people are like wearing the merch, and the Wallen show is one of those. Those are the only two for this year that
People
I
are
think were.
saying that next Thursday's Death Cab concert is going to be like that.
Did you see the Death Cab merch? Have you seen it?
I have not seen that.
They have one. You wouldn't know this because you never had an iPod. But on iPods, you had to name things, and I was a psycho about this. It was the thing that as you can imagine. So if you named like the band even with like a different space or something, it would show up as a different artist on your iPod while you were scrolling through.
Makes sense.
And so they have a shirt that has like 5 different ways to like spaces with Death Cab for Cutie or whatever. Because it's the Plans reunion or whatever anniversary tour.
20th anniversary, yes.
I thought it was like a little clever, but also it's like pretty niche. Like the iPod era didn't last for that long. So that's something that almost nobody before and nobody after understands what it means. It is exactly
not even some people during. But you know what the number one?
It's dedicated to the target audience of the show, though.
You know what the number one thing on the Death Cab for Cutie merch page is?
What is it? Death Cobby for Cutie?
Oh, I wish it were. I wish it would that it were.
They don't have their tour merch online yet.
It is obviously. Yeah, I guess they don't. It is Ichiro's theme. So there you go. We brought it full circle.
Are we going to talk about Ichiro more?
We did, yes.
Okay. And can I do the negative take now? I did the positive one before.
Now that people have sat through an hour plus, they get to hear the negative take.
I just, my feelings about people being graded on a curve. This is how we'll end the podcast.
Wow.
We're ending the podcast the same way that we end every podcast with Ichiro slander. But people are people are like, Ichiro's hilarious. And I'm like,
I want to preface this by saying this is culturally insensitive.
It's not culturally insensitive. He insulted Miami. Like what?
I think he insulted the Marlins. I don't think he insulted Miami.
Okay.
Maybe you didn't understand Ichiro's speech.
First off, it wasn't funny. Like the idea that people were just like, oh my God, Ichiro's hilarious. And I'm like, just because he's accepting an award doesn't make a thing that's not funny funny. I'm sorry. Like it wasn't funny conceptually as a joke. First off. Second off, you spent your prime with the Mariners, dog. And you have the gall to insult the 2-time World Series champions, Miami Marlins or Florida Marlins?
This is an interesting point because I think that the Marlins speak to a couple of the things we're talking about. The Miami Marlins, not still relevant from the 1990s, despite winning a World Series in that decade and one not long thereafter.
Relevant? What does that mean? There just aren't a lot of people who live in Miami. It's a small city.
Wait, what?
Or what? You think the 90s Marlins aren't relevant?
Yeah, they're not relevant because they barely played together. And it's a strong case for the flags fly forever thing. Like, actually, in some cases, it's not true because the 90s Mariners are far more culturally relevant than the Marlins.
What you're saying is if you could have a collection of like 4 of the greatest baseball players of all time together for if your threshold is that, sure.
That's not my threshold.
Agree.
But I'm just saying.
But also, this is just
having
those
players. Ultimately,
Ken Griffey Jr. is relevant. I'm not sure. If people I think Edgar's.
I don't think Edgar Martinez is, but I do think Randy Johnson and Alex Rodriguez are pretty fucking relevant.
Both of them are relevant.
My close personal
Alex
friend.
Rodriguez is like a footnote, though.
To the Mariners?
Yes, to the Mariners. Ken Griffey Jr. is still relevant. And all of them maybe are individually, but not in terms of the Mariners. Or you talk about it in terms of, wow, they had all these fucking players and didn't win.
Yes.
Gary Sheffield is relevant.
I can see that
Edgar Renteria is relevant.
We're gonna have to conduct a survey outside of Kieran to see how many people remember Edgar Renteria.
But also,
Also,
the
they remember him
Marlins
as a member of
have
the Red
made
Sox.
one less playoffs than the Mariners have in 16 less years.
I'm not arguing that the Mariners are a more successful franchise. The point I'm making is
No,
that
no,
winning
a
World
less
Series.
successful. Or you're not arguing that the Mariners are a more successful franchise than the
Yes.
Marlins. Yes.
What I'm arguing is that winning a World Series ultimately isn't actually that individually memorable of a thing.
Two, I think you're viewing this from the perspective of a person the furthest city away in the country. And I do think there are people. My boss is from Miami, and if I asked him if that World Series was important to him,
but that's not my point. The point is to ask someone from Milwaukee, someone who's not close to either of these.
Ask someone from Milwaukee if the Mariners are relevant. Ask them about the 95 Mariners. They'd be like, what? What are you talking about? The 95? Oh, that team that won a division round game? But actually, they would say, what the fuck are you talking about? The way that people perceive the Mariners is as bad. That's it.
I don't disagree with that. But like, there's no John Boyce history of the Miami Marlins or the Florida Marlins.
There might be, though. We are so much in an echo chamber of, you don't think that there's Marlins 90s nostalgia to be found on the internet? Because I assure you, you're wrong.
John Boyce Marlins brings up the saddest plate appearance of all time.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not saying there's precisely a John Boyce piece about the Marlins. Are the Mariners a curious franchise? Yes, they are. But they're also like known for being bad. Now I agree. Winning is
known
bad.
for being bad is
no. I agree. Winning is bad.
I don't know if you're aware of this.
On the record.
Did you know that the Boston Red Sox and Chicago Cubs, that there was a lot of discussion about the fact that those teams had gone extended periods, not never, but had gone extended periods without winning a World Series? Are you aware of that? That was culturally relevant.
They were much less interesting teams after they won a World Series.
It really is true. That's why you should be rooting against the Mariners.
But also, I think the Red Sox in the early 2000s, people might remember them fondly.
I do think people. Well, I don't know if they necessarily remember them fondly.
And I think there's a Cubs team that people, what is 2018, was it? 19?
It was 2016, very notably.
16? Okay.
Happened a few weeks before an election. Yeah. That was October, November 2016.
I think people do remember that team, that Cubs team.
Did I say a couple of weeks? It was like a few days. It was not that far apart.
I do not agree with you about this at all. Like, the Marlins became, because it was all of these players collected at one time. Like, that's what made them the most interesting. Moises Alou, Livan Hernandez.
But that's what makes them interesting to baseball fans, not what makes them interesting to casual fans.
You actually think the Mariners are interesting to casual fans? I'm supposed to be the biased one on this podcast.
I mean, maybe it's solely because of Griffey.
Because they make statues from their division round wins? They had it is basically the pillars of the 90s. It's like, I think Griffey is like basically number one. You could argue Bonds, maybe McGuire, Sosa, something like that. Like
Ripken, don't forget Cal.
I think Cal Ripken is notable, but like, kids don't give a shit about Cal Ripken. He's not lasted.
I agree with that.
Because the thing is, you have to have moments.
Do you think kids care about Sammy Sosa?
They were the McGuire Sosa thing together. If it wasn't both of them, then it would be Mortive. It's why Juan Gonzalez hasn't exactly lasted that much.
Fair.
And Griffey was fun. This is actually an interesting point against what I was saying earlier about children remember these players. But like, if I asked Luca what team Juan Gonzalez played for, he would know. And then I had Pedro, and that's kind of it. There might be. I mean, like, Frank Thomas was pretty exciting.
Yeah. He definitely still gets talked about.
There are a few others in erectile dysfunction as he gets talked about. The Big Hurt.
And she'll love it too.
I do not agree with you about the Marlins, though. Those players coming together for that team to win a World Series. For the record,
not technically an ED ad.
Sorry. I take it back. All apologies to the Big Hurt Frank Thomas.
And to Doug Flutie.
But it's a little Mariners build to think that the Mariners matter in that way. I just do not think kids are like, oh yeah, Edgar.
I don't disagree with you about that. I think it's Griffey, and if people remember A-Rod, the Mariners being part of A-Rod's story, which I think they do, and Ichiro, like, obviously he wasn't on the team in the 90s, but Ichiro is a very famous and popular baseball player, as it turns out.
Who slandered the people of Miami.
Unfunnily.
I'm just like, Doc,
Which
you
part of
played
this
for the
was
Mariners. Do you have any sense of where you played in your career? You'd
No,
heard of the Mariners?
not Cleveland either. Well, on that note,
Thanks for listening.
thanks.
We got to the best part of the podcast at the very end. We haven't done the beginning part, but I know.